Hello there and welcome. Thank you for joining me on my 365-day journey. My name is Anna Dalman. It is day number 289 of my note writing adventure. My note of instruction continues the discussion as I said it would yesterday. I had one more verse to share. Well, it actually ends up I have more than just one to round this out in our understanding. Yes, I'm talking about children, but as I did end yesterday, you are a child of the Most High God. So much of this can be applied to you if you're working on major changes in your life, or even those little ones. So for day 289, my note is as follows. Bending to change the direction of life, what does it require? Straining. To be directed to a point or a particular position. To be stretched and to bend the mind as in studying. Friends, the mind is where all those things are that need to be changed before our actions are changed. And it's the same as a child. You've got to reason with them, you've got to rationalize with them in language that they can understand as you train them up in the way they should go. Yes, you have to sometimes, and friends, I'm not saying physically do it, treading on it to bend. It is hard for a child to learn to do things differently, but sometimes we need to insist. You know your child, you know their ability to learn certain things, you know what it takes to direct them differently, to distract them and put them on the right course. It needs to be done. A wimpy parent will give in to their child when the going gets tough. And you can't do that. You cannot do it for your own good. Now let me give you some scripture for you to undergird all of this. I've got it written down there, Psalm 127. You can read the whole verse, but I'm going to mainly focus the whole chapter. I'm going to focus on the last part of it. And Psalm 7:12. So Psalm 127, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver for them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. Now, the reason that is so important is like arrows in the hands of a warrior. If you go into this era, the ancient Near East, and you apply the historical, grammatical, hermeneutic to how you need to analyze scripture. Arrows, you couldn't get them from Walmart or Amazon. They had to be made. Bows needed to be shaped to fire off, send off the arrow. Quivers needed to be made for them to be housed in, kept in. Now, if you think about that, going back in history, treading on it to bend. To make a bow, you needed to tread on it. It had to be supple and a young branch. Have you ever tried bending a old branch? They are you can injure yourself. I tried that once, and I actually did about maybe 6-7 months ago. Very stupid I was in doing that. It has to be a young, tender green branch. A young tender child, where you actually bend it and then you have to string the one side and you have to push down and have to string down the other side and then allow it to form its shape. That sometimes, friends, is what is required of training up a child. Friends, that's sometimes what is required of us when we have to change our will. We have to bend and struggle and position ourselves and tie ourselves down so that we do not get distracted and pulled back into our old and former way of living. Now, where did I come up with this, that we have to bend bows and bend arrows, etc.? Psalm 7:12. He bent his bow to make it ready. You have to bend them, and that can be when you need to shoot it off or when you're bending it and fashioning it. Raising children is not for wimps and wusses. It's hard work. It takes the commitment of a husband and a wife, and if you're a single parent, you and the community you've built around your child to do it. And make sure you pick that community wisely to help in guiding your child in the way it should go. train up a child in the way it should go. There we go. Even when he's old, he will not depart from it. Now, yesterday I did say that that is not a promise of salvation for your child. It is not. It is you guiding and directing your child on the way it should go. You can't change a child's heart. You can only guide it. You can direct it. You have a limited amount of time in which to do it, to shape your child for their destiny. Generally, this is meant, and the way I was taught when I was in school, that it went in the way. It was kind of like they're being apprenticed into what their future, their destiny, in how they cultivate an adult life for themselves would be. If your child's meant to be a farmer, I'm going back to that era, then you're allowed to be around agriculture. If your child is going to be a scribe, then you put it around people who will teach them to do that. It's the same today. You get to know what your child, their bent, the way that they leaning towards how they want their lives to go. If it is naughtiness, brattiness, ugliness, rebellion, you are called to bring it correct and to tie it back. Now, please don't go tie a child to a tree. I'm saying that humorously. Yes, I'm saying that humorously. I actually do know in certain countries where the United Nations has gone in, and children with disabilities who have extreme disabilities and are cognitively impaired, where their families actually literally have to tie the child down. And some people thought that was horrendously cruel. However, when you're living in a rural community and everybody considers your child to be bewitched, and if your child wanders off and your child will then get injured, there's a debate. Was it a loving mom who tied the child by the wrist with enough rope that it could walk around to a tree to keep the child limited while she worked in a field? Or was it cruel? Sometimes that's debatable. Sometimes we need to not look at our cultural love, but we need to look at what is loving in a very hard life and difficult life, not justifying, compassion. So, that is my sharing for today. And as much as I'm sharing for children, I'm sure you can understand that I'm sharing for your life too. Where you need to bend to change, make sure you tie it down. You tie yourself down so that you don't fall off the track until that becomes your way, that you're treading on it in the bends that have been created, because it's a new path. Narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way that leads to life, and there are few who find it. So friends, until tomorrow, take care and God bless, and we will talk again. Bye-bye for now.